National monuments, they're the most recognizable structures in the world, with millions of people visiting every year. But how many people don't know about the hidden secrets many of our monuments house? So for today's video, I'm unveiling 15 secrets about our national monuments. Starting with number 15, Christ the Redeemer is hollow. So Christ the Redeemer is probably the most recognized human-built structure in South America. Stood on almost 2,300 feet of Corcovado Mountain in the Tijuca National Forest Park overlooking Rio de Janeiro. It was designed by French sculptor Paul Landowski and constructed by Brazilian engineer Heitor da Silva Costa in collaboration with French engineer Albert Cacot. It was completed in 1931 and it measured almost 100 feet in height, and it's one of the new 7 wonders of the world. What most people don't know about Christ the Redeemer, however, is that it's hollow. The statue's internal framework is made of reinforced concrete, a new technology at the time which provides the necessary strength to support this massive weight and withstand the region's harsh weather. Making it for its durability and ease of use, which has helped preserve the statue's appearance despite the tropical climate. Number 14. The Cave of Evil Spirits. The Cave of Evil Spirits, also known as the Cave of the Winds, is a place that's steeped in myth and shrouded in mystery and can be found near the American side of the Niagara Falls. It's part of a vast network of tunnels and caverns that's been carved out in the region by powerful forces of water over millennia, but this particular one has been associated with darker forces at work. According to local legend, the cave was believed to be inhabited by malevolent spirits by the indigenous peoples who avoided the area, fearing the wrath of these entities. The tales speak of eerie sounds and inexplicable phenomenon happening within the cave, which were said to be caused by the spirit's presence. Geologically speaking, the Cave of Evil Spirits is a result of relentless erosive power of the Niagara River, which has shaped the landscape around the falls since the last ice age. The cave itself is located behind the Bridal Veil Falls, which is one of the 3 waterfalls that make up Niagara. Visit. Number 13. The Secret Art Corridor of Florence. So, the Secret Art Corridor of Florence, officially called the Vasari Corridor, is a hidden treasure trove of art and history, nestled within one of Italy's most culturally rich cities. The elevated passageway connects 2 of Florence's most iconic landmarks, the Palazzo Vecchio and the Palazzo Pitti, and it spans the River Arno by the Ponte Vecchio. Designed in 1565 by Giorgio Vasari, a renowned architect and painter, at the behest of Duke Cosimo I de' Medici, the corridor was initially intended as a safe and private passage for the Medici family, allowing them to move freely between their residence and the government palace. Stretching approximately 2/3 of a mile or about a kilometer long, the Vasari Corridor is now a gallery filled with remarkable collections of artworks, including paintings, portraits, and sculptures spanning from the 17th to the 20th centuries. The walls are adorned with a vast selection of self-portraits by some of the most celebrated artists, creating a unique and intimate experience for those who walk through it. Across the river in Florence has now become one of the must-see places for anyone who has the opportunity to do so. Number 12. The Trafalgar Square Police Station. Trafalgar Square, it's one of the most important focal points in London, and where you'll often see large groups gathering to either celebrate events or to protest. What most people who go there don't realize, though, is that the square actually has its own police station, although this one is arguably the smallest in the world. The virtually hidden facility is on the southeast corner of Trafalgar Square, and despite its size, it plays a critical role in the safety and security of the area, monitoring the square when huge crowds descend upon it. The police station's origins date back to the late 19th century and has evolved over the years, beginning as just a lookout point for keeping an eye on gatherings, to serving as a fully operational police station capable of responding to the needs of the public in this densely populated area. With a direct line to Scotland Yard, there's actually only room inside for just one person, and originally a light would have flashed on the top of an torch room. It is one of the most recognizable sites in New York, if not the world, with millions of visitors a year. But did you know there's actually a secret room inside the Statue of Liberty? It's known as the Torch Room. It was originally accessible to the public, granting spectacular views from the flames. However, for safety and conservation reasons, the room inside the torch was restricted in 1916, when there was an explosion on Black Tom Island in the harbor. This shattered windows around the city and caused shrapnel to be lodged into the arm of the Statue of Liberty, and as a result, it was deemed too dangerous to allow people to climb into the torch any longer, and it's remained closed to visitors ever since. The original torch has actually been replaced due to extensive damage from weather and other factors, and a new one, coated in 24-karat gold leaf, was installed in 1986 to celebrate the statue's centennial. Though the public can no longer visit the torch room, it does remain a significant part of the statue's structure and history. The room itself symbolizes the enduring light of the statue's message. Inside the pedestal, the statue building is the Grand Ballroom, which is hidden away within its upper floors. This space, often overlooked amid the daily commotion of the commuters, is a relic of a bygone era. The statue, completed in 1910, is an iconic symbol of Melbourne with its distinctive Edwardian facade and the prominent dome under which the Grand Ballroom resides. And it was once at the center of high society, a place where the city's social elite would gather for prestigious events and glittering soirees. The room was designed to be multifunctional, accommodating not just balls but also lectures, classes, and community events. It's decorated with classical Edwardian features. This ballroom has a high ceiling, arched windows, and detailed cornices that are a stunning example of design from the time. The large open floor plan allowed for grand-scale events, and the expansive windows offered views of the Yarra River and the city, making it a sought-after location for events. And despite its historical significance and potential as a venue, the Grand Ballroom has been closed to the public for several decades. Over time, a huge 60-foot or 18-meter-tall bronze statue of Leonardo da Vinci, crafted by Bulgarian artist Asen Pekov, welcomes travelers. Pekov, after winning a competition, was honored to have his work installed at the airport in 1960 and wanted to symbolize Italy's rich heritage and innovative spirit. The statue has stood as a guardian throughout the years, witnessing the comings and goings of countless travelers. Amazingly though, it wasn't until 2006, during necessary renovations, that the fascinating secret was uncovered. Nestled about 30 feet or 10 meters high within the statue, a small hatch revealed two historic parchments. The first detailed the ancient history of the airport's site, tracing its significance back to times when Rome was at the center of a vast empire. This document offered a unique glimpse into the layers of history beneath the modern hustle and bustle of air travel. The second parchment served as a time capsule from the statue's unveiling, listing notable attendees including the sculptor Pekov, the president of the Italian Republic, and future influential Italian politicians. In mystery, next time you find yourself at the airport, take a moment to look up at the towering figure of Da Vinci and consider the hands that crafted it, the historical figures who witnessed its unveiling, and the secret it kept hidden for decades. Number 8. The Tiny Washington Monument. Washington, D.C.'s get a number of world-famous structures, with the Washington Monument standing tall and looking over the city. It may come as a surprise to anyone who's seen it, though, that there's actually two Washington monuments, although the second one, Secret One, is a much smaller and it's hidden underground. Officially known as Benchmark A, it's a geodetic control point that's used by surveyors to ensure that maps are as accurate as possible. There are millions of these across the United States, and usually they're just metal caps or rods that are drilled into the ground. But near the monument, in honor of its neighbor, the control point is a 12-foot tall replica. All surveys of the area date back to the early 1900s have used it, and it's using points like these that the surveyors know that. Moving on to number 7, the Brooklyn Bridge wine cellars. The Brooklyn Bridge, which is an iconic symbol of New York City, was built, of course, to make travel to the city easier. Drivers today would, of course, argue that all it does now is create more traffic, but beyond its slow-moving vehicles, the bridge has a secret beneath its massive structure: the Brooklyn Bridge wine cellars. Hidden within the cavernous vaults and the arches that support the immense weight of the Brooklyn Bridge, these wine cellars are a great example of repurposing urban spaces. The cool, stable temperatures found in the bridge's underbelly create an ideal environment for aging wine, a fact that was recognized by entrepreneurs in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The cellars were initially used by the bridge's construction workers as a means to store materials and tools, but were eventually used for wine storage, taking advantage of the naturally controlled climate. In their heyday, these cellars housed thousands of bottles from around the world, serving the city's increasing appetite for fine wines. The cellars became a vital component of the city's culinary scene. The Lincoln Memorial Mistake and Secret Room. Built between 1914 and 1922, the Lincoln Memorial is a huge monument dedicated to Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the U.S. Designed by Henry Bacon, the structure, built in the classic Greek style, covers an area of over 27,000 square feet and has a 19-foot-tall statue of the president inside that's made from marble and weighs 159 tons. It's been featured in countless films and photo opportunities and is one of the most well-known monuments on Earth. But there are two secrets about the place that many people don't know about. The first can be seen in the inscriptions on the north wall. There's actually a spelling mistake. If you look closely at the word future, you can see a blemish in the stone, and this is because the sculptor accidentally carved an E instead of an F. Luckily, this was an easy mistake to rectify, and the extra line was filled in. But especially now as it's aged, it's still clear to see if you're looking for it. The other surprising secret is that there's actually a 43,000 square foot. This room, of course, was not designed for public access or any specific function beyond just structural support, but its existence has sparked the imaginations of many, leading to speculation and myths about its purpose and what it potentially contains. Number 5. The Grand Central Terminal's Tennis Club. Everyone knows the Grand Central Station as the transport hub of New York City, but there's a lot you may not know about the building. Renowned for its stunning architecture, bustling concourses, and as a nexus of transportation, which with its vast windows would have felt very different when it first opened, with sunlight beaming in before the skyscrapers were built around it that blocked it out. Surprisingly though, it's also a very popular sports venue, as it's home to the Grand Central Terminal Tennis Club, also known as the Vanderbilt Tennis Club, that's tucked away in the upper reaches of the terminal. The tennis club is not immediately visible to the millions of commuters and tourists who pass through Grand Central each day, and occupies a space that was once the location of a former CBS television studio, where shows like What's My Line engage in physical activity amidst the hustle and bustle of the city. Of course, it's not open to everyone, and one of the appeals of this club is its exclusivity. Membership fees can be many thousands of dollars a year, but if you love to play tennis and want the chance to rub shoulders with the New York elite in a venue unlike any other, then it is well worth the money. Number 4. The 103rd floor of the Empire State Building. The Empire State Building, an Art Deco masterpiece that stood as a beacon in New York City since its completion in 1931, is one of the most famous buildings in the world. It's now used mainly as office space and as a tourist attraction. There's a lot about the building that most people don't know. It's actually used now in a very different way to the initial intention. When it was designed and being built, people thought airships would become a highly used mode of transport, and the Empire State Building was to be an airship station in central New York. While millions of visitors are now drawn to its observation decks on the 86th and 102nd floors, each year the sensation of being on the edge of the world. It also, without safety features found on the public levels, access to this space is highly restricted, making it one of the most exclusive attractions in a city known for its access. Those fortunate enough to visit this floor often find themselves stepping into a part of history, and they join a select list of celebrities, dignitaries, and others who have been important enough. The 103rd floor maintains the air of mystery, with few photographs or detailed accounts of its layout and views available to the public. This secrecy serves to heighten its appeal, making an invitation to visit one of the most coveted experiences in New York City. Number 3. The Supreme Basketball Court. The Supreme Court is the center of the United States legal framework, where the highest justices in the land preside over legal cases that can have consequences far and wide. It's therefore seen as an extremely serious place where lives can hang in the balance. But everyone who works there needs a break, just like the rest of us. To accommodate that, nestled within the halls of the United States Supreme Court are the rigorous demands of legal work and the need for leisure and physical activity. It was constructed in the 1930s. The court's seen its fair share of events and friendly competitions, though it comes with a warning that says, please don't assume that a justice is not behind the door. A reminder that this is the nation's highest court. The basketball court itself is modest in size and features purposefully being functional and not lavish. Over the years, the Supreme Court's basketball court has become a part of the institution, with stories of justices and clerks engaging in friendly games and adding a personal dimension to the public perception of the Supreme Court, and giving a bit of a human quality to those who so often are involved in complex legal matters. Number 2. Mount Rushmore's Hall of Records. Mount Rushmore, a world-famous tourist attraction that was carved into the granite face of the Black Hills in South Dakota, is renowned for its giant sculptures of Presidents George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and, of course, Abraham Lincoln. Beyond these, though, lies a lesser-known feature called the Hall of Records. In 1941. What remains of his ambitious project is a partially completed tunnel about 70 feet long carved into the rock behind the president's faces. For decades, the existence of this unfinished chamber was relatively obscure, known only to a few historians and park officials. In 1998, the National Park Service completed Borglum's vision in a modified form. A titanium vault containing 16 porcelain enamel panels was installed in the floor to the entrance to the Hall of Records. These panels narrate the history of the United States, the significance of Mount Rushmore, and the reasons for selecting each of the 4 presidents to be immortalized in stone. This installation was meant to fulfill Borglum's original idea, ensuring that the essence of the Hall of Records' purpose to communicate principles of achievement of American democracy for future generations. Number 1. The Eiffel Tower Apartment. So possibly the most recognizable monument on the planet, the Eiffel Tower in Paris, France, was conceived and built by Gustave Eiffel, which was designed to impress and amaze. The apartment was furnished in a simple, comfortable style, reflecting Eiffel's taste for functionality over opulence. As such a dominant structure on the Parisian skyline, the tower made its creator both loved and hated by locals, and felt that the only way he could really escape the pressures of life at ground level was to have a retreat within his creation. The existence of Eiffel's apartment was a well-kept secret during his lifetime, known only to a select few. It became the subject of much fascination and envy among Parisian high society, with many of the city's elite offering substantial sums of money for even a single night in the exclusive room. Eiffel, however, reserved this space solely for personal use and for distinguished guests, including Thomas Edison, who was among the few invited to share in the quiet splendor of the tower's penthouse. Today, the apartment is partially open to the public, offering visitors a glimpse into the private life of one of France's most celebrated engineers. The space remains almost exactly as Eiffel left it, with original furnishings and even wax figures